And hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Curtis, and here with me as my very first guest, episode 1 of the podcast, we have the fantastic Paul Dickson. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I didn't realise this was the first one.
You're the first one. We're starting off strong.
Oh,
Starting
nice,
off very, very
nice.
strong.
Great.
And I think what a great person to have on,
Well,
especially
thank you very much.
with the business that you run. I mean, you've probably come across so much different businesses, different walks of life, different people. So I think who better to start off than yourself?
You're absolutely right, and it's something that I never really expected would happen with the magazine. You know, the magazine was supposed to just be a nice wee guide to Renfrewshire, but as you say, I've met so many people, so many businesses, and it really enforces, the drive for the magazine, because it's you realise that Renfrewshire is a great place to live and work, and the people that we have here, and the businesses, the charities, the groups, is fantastic. It's fantastic.
Such a nice community of people as well, which I found, especially when loads of communities, we've got different friends that have got businesses within Renfrewshire, very close to each other,
Sure.
and they just have like a nice kind of, like, even in here. So I'm based in the Startup Street in Renfrew, for those that don't know, and I would say that we've got a great relationship with people in here. Everybody wants to help each other in some way, some form. There's never this kind of thing of competition. But listen, we're not here to discuss me. We're here to discuss you.
Yeah, but you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, that kind of goes throughout Renfrewshire. What you've just said there is people want to help other businesses. Everybody's had a really tough time the last kind of 3 years, and everybody wants to help. You know, if anybody can help another business, then they'll do it. You know, and that can be something as simple as, sharing a post on Facebook, or dropping in a couple of pints of milk to somebody that's short, or it's just one of these things that I've discovered as well is the people of Renfrewshire are absolutely fantastic, and so supportive of each other. And there'll be businesses opening up next to each other, and a lot of businesses don't see each other as competition. They just see it as a good thing.
Yeah. I think if I see it in a way that if someone else is thriving, then why can't you thrive?
That's right.
I think if there's as a successful business on your doorstep, then you've got every right to be as successful as what they do.
Totally, and that's one of the things, because if there's more people walking along that street to go to these businesses, there's more people walking past your business, and then they'll discover your business and pop in. So, yeah, it's the magazine. It's just really opened my eyes to the actual definition of community.
I love that. That's such a nice thing. Community is such a big thing in Renfrewshire. Yeah. So what we'll do first of all is I think we should introduce who you are.
Sure.
Who are you?
Well, yeah, I'm a graphic designer, and a lot of people don't realise that. It's funny because I'll go around dropping off magazines to nearly 200 businesses in Renfrewshire, and somebody will say to me, "Paul, do you know anyone that does business cards?" I'll say, "Well, actually, I am a graphic designer, and I've been doing that for more than half my life." It's just one of these things I forget. I forget to tell people I'm terrible at selling myself. I'm good at selling everybody else, but I'm terrible at selling myself.
I find myself doing that a lot. It's so hard to sell yourself without sounding dead big-headed.
That's right.
And I always get that fear that somebody's going, well, I'm not going to use him because, he's quite big-headed. Like, I think it's the belief in yourself that you've got to have when you're running a business.
Totally. And self-belief, that's one of these things that comes. I never had much self-belief in myself until I started working for myself. And kind of, it's only now at the kind of grand old age of 48, I've kind of realised my own potential. And
hey, age is just a number.
Well, that's it.
Just a number.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And going back to, it's who am I? I mean, I'm a graphic designer. I've been doing that for more than half my life. I worked on a publication in Edinburgh. It was called Ion Magazine. And I was the creative director there for 10 years. And then I took voluntary redundancy because they were kind of struggling a wee bit. And I thought, I'm going to do a magazine for Paisley in Renfrewshire. And I guess that was the kind of catalyst, because I had been thinking about doing something for the area, mostly because I'm an Edinburgh man living in Paisley. And when I first moved through, people looked at me as if I was the stupidest man on the planet, for moving from the capital to Paisley. And I couldn't understand what the problem was.
Why was that? Why did you move?
Because I met my partner.
Right, okay.
And now, we've got 2 kids, that are Paisley born and bred. And as I say, people just looked at me as if I was daft. Why have you left Edinburgh to come here? And I couldn't really understand it, because walking through Paisley, I always thought, this place is great. There's a lot to see and do here.
Yep.
There's a lot of great spaces. and then you kind of find out that Paisley used to be, by all accounts, the best town in the world. Do you know, it had everything. You know,
Such a rich history that it's probably.
Totally.
So I'm actually not from Paisley myself. I
Sure.
live in Paisley now, and I have done
yeah.
the past 10 years. But I
Right.
grew up in Glasgow, Pollock
Right. Okay.
area, which
Not far away.
it's got a reputation, but it's not too far. Not too far.
Yeah, these places have a reputation, and a lot of them, a lot of time, it's quite unjust, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, I was born and raised in Wester Hailes in Edinburgh, and you know that's got a bit of a reputation. For the years that I stayed there, I'd never seen any trouble.
Yeah,
Obviously, trouble goes on. There's no doubt trouble goes on.
I think people bring trouble themselves, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and I think within Paisley, the amount of time that I've lived here, I have felt nothing but at home. I feel more at home here than I do where I originally grew up, and I lived there for 18 years of my life, whereas now 10 years of my life I've been living here. So, and I wouldn't. It's funny, you always think about like moving abroad and things like that when you maybe get a wee bit older, your retirement and things like that, or you're just like, listen, I've got a bit of success, maybe it's time to move abroad, to move this abroad. But I couldn't imagine even being like a singer. You know what I mean? My kind of my weekend work being a singer.
Of course, yeah.
Like, oh, I could go anywhere.
Yeah,
like, but I wouldn't want to go. Paisley for me in Renfrewshire is home.
And I'm delighted to hear that. You know, that's a good thing. I've been here for 12 years now, so you've probably come across the negativity that I've come across.
Yes.
But the good thing is that you've probably seen that it's all changing now. You know, it's changing, and the negative is, we're maybe down to about 10% of the population is that negative, is the kind of noisy minority that remain, and everybody else. I mean, the people that pick up our magazine and follow us on social media and stuff like that, I mean, they are the people that want to be part of the new Renfrewshire, the new regenerating Paisley, and be part of that, and are embracing it by using the local shops, by going out and eating in the local restaurants and cafes and things like that. So you'll have seen what I've seen, and you've probably had the same comments as well. What you're doing in Paisley, it really is a fabulous place. I remember when Bailey's Antiques opened. Well, it was just before Bailey's Antiques opened on the high street, and the shutter was half open, and I could see people in there. And me being the nosy person that I am, I popped my head in, and it was during the social distancing, so there was 5 of us in this big room, all in a big circle, you know, as if we were about to do like the hokey cokey or something. And we were just talking, and there was 5 people in that room, none of us from Paisley. All were either working or living in the area and loving it. You know, so the people that I speak to that move into Paisley love it. Absolutely love it. I can understand how people kind of think back to the past and want it to be as good as it used to be. It's never going to be the same, but it's still going to be a fantastic place. There's a lot of money being spent in the area as well.
It seems like now's the time for Renfrewshire really to kind of pick up on itself and get back to that kind of good spirit the way it was. I know, like you probably see it a lot with dealing with businesses, but in terms of the high street, it's not what it used to be. You know what I mean? There's a lot of businesses that are closed in that area, and you're thinking, how are you going to do it? There's a lot of work being done to the town hall, museum as well. So they are willing to put some money into Paisley, which is what is needed. But I would just love to see it become such a, you know what I mean, like the town centre as well, just to see it booming again and back in its heyday, where, you know what I mean, it would be a place that you would travel into on a Saturday when when you're not working at the weekend and things. But hopefully we get back to that stage at one point.
Yeah, it can only get better. I mean, it's the developments there. You've mentioned the museum, we've got the town hall, we've also got the library.
Yep.
The new library, the cultural hub that's opening up on the high street as well. That's looking fantastic. So that's coming soon. You've got the Paisley Arts Centre as well, which is coming soon, and they're doing a lot of work on the old Liberal Club as well. So
that's amazing. I think that's brilliant. I've seen a few. There's a gentleman I know, David Montgomery. I think he's doing a lot of filming behind that at the minute, and it looks right. Media Monty looks absolutely amazing. Looks brilliant so far. Some of the pictures that he's posted, and I think like that, it's now giving it a nice fresh look, especially within Paisley. I think that's what we're needing, and that's the whole reason of this podcast. Is there's a lot of businesses out there that have no presence within the social media stage of Renfrewshire. Some of these people don't even know that these things exist, and I would love to give the people the platform. And you are one of the people that are right there in the heart of Paisley, you know what I mean, with the magazine and things like that, and the way you do it, which is just absolutely incredible. So, how long have you been in operation of the Mill magazine? And is it just yourself that runs it, or do you have any staff behind it?
We've been going. The next issue will mark our 5th anniversary.
Wow.
5 years in business. So that's along with 2018 we started the business. So that's coming up. So we'll need to do something to kind of mark that event.
Something special.
Yeah. So that's coming up. It's me who kind of runs the operation. There's me and my editor Robert. So he does all the writing for the magazine. The writing is the one thing I can't do to a very high standard, and he can do it to a very high standard with ease. And he's a passionate young man. He's from Fox Bar in Paisley. So,
my neck of the woods.
Is it really?
That's
right.
where I
right.
live.
Right. Okay. So he's a very passionate young man. He writes the way that I kind of think and feel about Renfrewshire and Paisley, but I just can't put it down on paper the way that he does. And he probably does it better than me because some of the words that he uses and just the phrases that he uses, it just kind of makes you really kind of proud. It kind of gives you. Sometimes I kind of get that Braveheart moment, when I'm reading his stuff. It's just like, this is fantastic, Robert. So
that's amazing to hear. It's nice to hear that you've got somebody to bounce off as well, and that can see, because you came to Paisley with this vision of creating something. Would it be the magazine or some form of media form that you came with, and that you've got someone here that can then put that into fruition for you.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's amazing having ideas up here, but actually putting them here, that's what I struggle with. I could be up all night, my brain could be ticking with loads of ideas. If I don't, it comes to the part where you're putting it down in the paper. That's what I'm like, I have to check out here.
Yes, well, and that's why I leave that to him, and then he'll just send me the writing, and I'll put it all together and design the pages of the magazine and read through his stuff. And it's, as I say, his writing's fantastic. The core of his work is music journalism. He's a music journalist, and he does a lot of. It always kind of cracks me up this because he is one of the foremost hip hop and rap journalists, definitely in the country, if not in the UK. But what is amazing about his knowledge is he has people coming over from the States to ask him to write about their music, which is essentially,
that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Is this like new artists, or is it like kind of up and coming? You know what I mean? Like
it's anything and everything to do with hip hop, because he knows about it. He knows about it. So he has, as I say, big names in kind of like the YouTube channels coming over and saying, can you do a feature? I think he just mentioned one recently. It was a feature about Dave.
Yep.
So, which is
massive name.
A massive name, and very, very, very good at what he does. But we're actually just talking about that first album.
Very talented guy as well.
Yes, and it's one of these albums that you put on for the first time and think, wow, that's extraordinary. And I know his second album, Robert was telling me to have a re-listen to that because I kind of skipped over it after the first one. But yeah, he the majority of his work comes from the States, and it is to do with rap and hip hop.
That's
which
amazing.
It's just brilliant. They come over to Paisley to this guy from Fox Bar to find out what's happening in their own backyard.
It just shows you, though. It just shows you that I always say this when we're talking about certain things. Now, maybe Robert doesn't want to be the main man, like facial wise, and he doesn't want to be the star of the show as such. But Paisley has some incredibly talented people in it as well, and there's quite a lot of famous people that you probably don't realise come from Paisley as well. I think there's a good opportunity for everyone in Paisley. If that was something they wanted to do along those lines, I think there's a great platform there. And what I do like is when it comes to certain things within Paisley, whether it be for like festivals and things, they do tend to use a lot of their homegrown talent. And I know this is taken away from the Mill magazine, but we're talking about obviously your colleague here as well.
That's right.
And I just think that the platform that Paisley gives and what you're doing. I mean, your recent magazine, the front cover, the artist on it, you know what I mean? That's a girl that I went to Pace with, who is a fantastic actress, starring in Shetland as well at the minute. And I'm just like, she was just somebody that, I went to Pace with in Paisley, right in the heart of Paisley, and now the incredible things that she's doing and probably still to do.
That's it, because it's very early in her career, isn't it? And she's fantastic. The ability that she's got, and it's for us, it's about highlighting the people that maybe don't get the acknowledgement that they should. Erin Armstrong is she's a superstar in her own right. So the fact that we've managed to put her on the front of the cover of the magazine and get an interview with her is perfect. That's it. Really, that kind of is the ethos of the magazine for us, is to get local stars who are up and coming and make a feature of them and let everybody know when they're watching Shetland.
Yeah.
It's like, let me girls from Renfrewshire. You know, I live in Renfrewshire. I love this. I love Renfrewshire.
It's a big place, Renfrewshire as
It
well.
is.
Big,
It
big,
is.
big place.
It is, and yet there's only a population of what is it, maybe 180,000 or something. So it is a big place. I know it feels like a big place, especially when I'm delivering the magazines to 180 places across the region. You know, you kind of feel it's a big place because it takes maybe 3 or 4 days to do so.
Busy man.
Yes, it is. It is busy, but yeah, it's people like Erin, and then towards the back of the magazine, we've got an interview with Fred Macaulay as well, who is he's just a brilliant man as well. He's just so funny. He's been on the scene for so long, and his material just gets better and better. You know, is great. So to have that kind of balance between upcoming stars and very well established stars, is great for the magazine. It just kind of mixes up what we do as well.
So with the magazine, what is it that, what is your magazine all about? You know what I mean? Because we have certain magazines for, lifestyle. We've got certain things. Now, I know you deal a lot with the culture of kind of Paisley.
Yeah.
So is there like a kind of theme that you kind of keep when you're doing your magazines and your stories and what's happening? Or is it genuinely just whatever's kind of put in front of you at the time?
Yes, there'll be themes that kind of crop up, but there'll be things that just pop up as well. You know, there'll be ideas we've got for future publications, but then there'll be things that just kind of pop up and think we could make that into a main feature. One of the things we're looking at for the next issue is the fact that Kyle Lafferty is just signed for Johnson Borough Football Club,
that.
which is just phenomenal. And
it's massive for a football club. And
it is
that
massive.
Johnston Borough seems to be picking up. And I'd imagine that'd be a great story that most people would love to read about and hear more.
Right. And Graham Dorrans as well. Two international cap players. Going to be turning out for Johnson Borough, which is
the junior team. They're just around the corner from me as well. I'm like, it's crazy.
Right? Is that right? So that's a fascinating story. And as a Hearts fan as well, Kyle Lafferty did a service for us as well before he was kind of poached by Rangers again. But he was brilliant for us. He was brilliant for us. So the fact that he's going to be on our doorstep, as you say, on your doorstep, just a wee bit further along the road from me, I think that's a magic thing. So there's something that's just popped up that Robert said we could maybe make a main feature out of this. So we'll probably be looking at that. Hopefully, if they get in, we'll try to make us contact with them, and we'll just see what happens.
I was just about to ask you that. So how would you do that? Would you contact them? Would you wait for contacts? Is it a kind of wee mix of both?
Yeah, sometimes people will get in touch with us, and for that kind of story, we'll go and chase that story. Robert will get in contact with Johnson Borough and just see what comes back. But a lot of people know what we do, and they come back to us, so it's usually quite easy. For a lot of the people that we want to get in the magazine, we can contact them through social media, or failing that, we'll go through their kind of agents via our website or something like that. But with a story as well for another actress that we had on in our magazine, and she hadn't been working for a while. I've totally forgotten her name. I'll need to come back to that. But it's funny because we put our we can always find somebody. We can always find a way to contact somebody online, whether it's social media or through an agent, and we couldn't find anything on this girl.
Which is bizarre considering social media
right.
and everything is like the top thing at the moment. You know what I mean?
Totally. And it turned out that she'd been taking a break from acting.
Oh, right, okay.
And she'd been studying as well. But what we did was we put a photo of her from our days when she was working as an actor in Shameless. So we put a photo on our Facebook page and said, does anybody know this girl? And before we know it, we had a message from a friend who works in Woodlands Cafe. And it was her friend was the girl's auntie.
Oh, right, okay.
So
small world.
I know, small world. And one of the gems about being in Paisley. And before we know it, we're speaking to her, and then we've got the actress on the phone that evening, and she's going to booked in for a photo shoot and an interview.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so it does. It all works. It's one of the benefits about working in Paisley is it is such a small place and everybody is connected to somebody.
Yes.
Everybody. If you put a photo on Facebook, somebody will know that person or know their aunt or
Somebody's
someone.
cousin,
That's it.
somebody's.
It's one of the gems. As being from Edinburgh, everybody sees Edinburgh as a small place, but Paisley's tiny,
Oh yeah.
and that is one of the
In
beauties
scale
of
of
it.
Edinburgh, it's tiny.
And that is one of the beauties of it is the scale of it. And as I say, people know each other and are connected, and it's fabulous.
Brilliant. So you obviously discussed earlier on that you came here from Edinburgh with
Yeah,
a kind of vision of doing it, and you previously worked for marketing companies and things like that. Was that right?
yeah. I've
Yeah.
always been a designer, so yeah, I've worked for different. I worked for two kind of car firms, doing all the advertising for the papers and Auto Trader. Don't know if you ever came across Auto Trader, which
Yeah,
used to be a
yeah.
magazine.
So you'd actually kind of created and
Yeah, we do all the adverts for the
produced
papers.
them.
That's right. We created all the papers, all the adverts for the papers and Auto Trader and all those kind of publications when that was a big thing. Obviously it's died a death. It's all kind of put online now.
Yeah,
If you're selling a car, it just goes online, and
it's just
that's
so easy
basically
to
it.
go from your phone.
That's it. That's it. So we did that, and then I worked for a flight company called Fly Globespan. Worked for them for a year, and then I worked for another company called Ion Magazine, which was a publishing company,
Right, okay.
and we did Ion Magazine, and I worked for there for 10 years. I was a creative director, and that's how I got into publishing magazines.
So I was going to ask, was this the kind of long term goal then? Did you have something in mind of, like, you hear a lot of people when, like, I look at Stanley, who does comics and things like that as well, and
Yeah,
how he started, and I
yeah,
mean, just happened to fall into a job and never had the idea of creating anything to do with comic books and things, and then get so interested in the publishing, how he did it, the storytelling, everything about it. Because really, your adverts are telling a story as such. You know
yeah.
what I mean? You're telling a story of what has happened or happening, and I think like something like this is definitely missed in Paisley, and I think it's such a great tool because this a free magazine as well,
It is
so
free.
it's totally free
Yeah,
to pick up anywhere. Well,
yeah.
I mean, you've got a list of businesses and things you can pick it
That's
up
right.
from, which is incredible to say. I actually think I've seen it. Do you deliver to shopping centres and things like that? Do you?
Yes, we've got stands in different places. We've got them in Braehead, the Stockton Braehead Shopping Centre, and we've got them in the Piazza, and we've got them in M&S Food as well, which has been a really good pickup area for us as well. That stand gets emptied on a regular basis. In
That's
fact, I'll probably
brilliant.
stop in there on the way back home from here, since it's on route. So yeah,
Killing two
it's
birds with one stone
yeah,
there. That's it.
exactly. But yeah, it is getting itself about. As I say, there's 180 places across Renfrewshire. We do 6,000 magazines, and people choose to pick them up. We put them in the cafes and restaurants and any retailers. And as I say, people choose to pick them up, and 6,000 magazines go every issue. When I put out the new magazine, I maybe pick up a box of 100 magazines that I pick up from all our distribution points. A lot of them have been read. A lot of people don't take the last magazine because it is the last one, so they're not sure if it belongs to the shop or whatever.
Ah,
So
that kind of displaced
yeah,
sort of.
yeah. If there's a pile of them there, people will take them. If there's one
Did that
left,
get you buzzing if you just seen the person just pick up the last one? You were
that's
like,
it.
that's it,
Yeah,
it's done.
yeah. So some places get cleared out, and then there's some places there's maybe a couple left that have been read. A lot of people just read them while they're waiting for maybe a haircut or something like that as well, and they just put them back. But yeah, as I say, the 6,000 magazines go across Renfrewshire.
Amazing. I think that's amazing. And for somebody for maybe wanting to advertise and such within your magazine, how would they get in touch with you to do so?
Yeah, well, inside the magazine, I've got my phone number and my email address. So it is just a case of getting in touch with me and asking. I guess it kind of depends what kind of business it is, because we don't just say, right, we'll just take an advert and that's it done. We like to kind of know that business and meet that business, go and visit the business, and a lot of time we showcase that business on
Yeah.
our Facebook page and let everybody know where we've been. Especially if it's a new thing, like for instance on our Facebook page just now, we've featured Sarah Harron, who is a luxury handbag manufacturer, and they've got a shop and an office now in the Sir James Clark building on beside Morrison's
Right, okay.
at Abbey Mill Business Centre. And a lot of people don't know that's there, but they've got this beautiful office, and it's full of bags. It's full of different accessories that you can go on with these bags. The special thing about these bags is I don't have any handbags, but I can see how people would get excited about these bags because they look fantastic, and you can clip different things on. You can put a pouch on the front. You can put decorative accessories. You can put different straps on them. It's brilliant. So
I'm all for that. Anything you
yeah,
can accessorize yourself rather than
that's
just the
right.
bog standard bag you buy, and you can.
Yeah,
I love a pair of Crocs.
right.
I don't know if I give off Croc vibe, but I love that I can decorate my Crocs, especially if I'm on
Yeah.
my holidays and things like that.
No,
So
it's quite right too. So I can understand how these bags have been really popular, and a lot of people have been ditching the Louis Vuitton bag and picking up the Sarah Haddon bag now
brilliant.
because they are luxury handbags, but they're a lot more reasonably priced as well. So we put that on our Facebook page. They'll be doing some advertising with us as well. So it's people don't just ask to advertise and that's the end of it. We build that relationship and we make sure that they get the the best we can do for their money, and we'll make it go as far as we can, as well as kind of building stories for ourselves and for our own social media.
I think that's it. Like I was flicking through obviously your social and things prior to this and having a wee look. And as I do usually, I follow you. I think on Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah,
pretty much everything. I think you've got a social media I follow you on. I've dealt with you in the past myself. You know what I mean? Whether
that's right.
that be logos and
Yeah,
I mean media type. When I was starting my website with my first business that I tried, you know what I mean? You were there to do all the material for it,
yeah,
and I must say that you are probably one of the nicest I've dealt with, and I would highly recommend to anybody that does want to
thank you.
start a journey, whether it be in business or you know what I mean, anything to do with graphic design.
Yes,
I would say you are the man. You are
thank you.
definitely the man for that. And when reading your magazines and reading your content and things that's on your social media, it does show that you do care,
Mhm.
which I think is what's missing from a lot of magazines and things that you read. It's just a quick story for some of these folk, and as you
Yeah,
say, it's just it's something to fill it as
yes,
such, and there's no care behind it with that.
yeah,
And I think with the magazine that you have, it makes it so much more personal.
mhm.
Especially, you know, I mean, as we just discussed, Renfrewshire is a small area. It
Yes,
really is. You may think it's huge, but it's small.
yeah,
Everybody knows somebody, and everybody knows everyone. And I think when you're reading this, you definitely get that feel to it as well, because you can then relate to the people. You know, I mean, these are people that live probably just down the road from you as
that's
well,
right.
and it's amazing just to read their stories.
Yes,
And I think that was the main reason why I wanted you on the podcast. I mean, you've name dropped about 10 different businesses
yeah,
in the space of however long that we've been sitting chatting here
yeah,
for. And I think that's amazing. Your knowledge, your kind of relationships with all these businesses and things like that as well. I
yeah.
think it can only get better. And I must say, if you are looking for anything, then definitely get in touch with the Mill magazine.
Yes, no, I'd recommend you get in touch. I mean, my phone number is 0773. Am I allowed to do this?
Of course,
Zero
yeah,
seven
of
seven
course, of
three
course, of course.
998 9969, or you can email me. It's paul@millmagazine.co.uk. And going back to the actor that I've completely forgot her name, is Carrie Corbett,
That's brilliant.
superstar.
I was
You know,
wondering if you were going to get it.
superstar. It is just my memory. It's one of these things that I find myself. That's why I've got young Robert with me usually, because he can fill in the blanks for me because he knows the people that I'm talking
That's
about.
brilliant.
He knows the businesses that I'm talking about. So he's just, you know, he's in his 20s, so he knows. His memory is fantastic, whereas mine is just, it's really going. That and my eyesight are the two things that are really going for me. So there's two bad things about getting old, but one thing about getting old that is a benefit is one of my mortgages is paid off in September.
Oh, there you
So
go.
there we go. My first ever property, 25 years later. So there's one of the benefits of getting old.
It's the wins in life. That's what
Yes,
matters.
that's it. So the mortgage will be paid off. I can't see or remember things. So
But
I've
hey,
got to take the rough with the
you'll be
smooth.
mortgage free.
That's it.
That's what
That's
matters.
it. I can buy expensive glasses.
Get the fancy china out. Oh,
That's it.
fantastic. That
That's
is
it.
absolutely amazing. Do you So obviously you've worked in multiple businesses. You've probably seen all walks of life in businesses, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for any person maybe looking to start a business or any kind of smaller businesses at the minute? Kind of like myself, you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
small business with the studio and things, Studio 23.
Yeah.
So just any advice that you'd maybe give somebody like myself, and it doesn't matter if
Uh-huh.
it's been one that everybody's heard
Yeah.
a million times. It would just be like nice to hear what you maybe have to say.
There's what I've realized is there's nothing you can't achieve. It's honestly, I find it that simple. There's if you put in the hard work, the research, and the effort, I don't. There's nothing you can't achieve. It's it's all about you. It's all about the dedication that you put into it. I mean, the magazine is. I've always kind of tried, kind of thought about putting 100% into everything that I've ever done. But that magazine is the one thing I put 100% into in every area. If you work hard, you can succeed, and that's probably my kind of best advice. Don't listen to everybody else. Don't listen to anybody that wants to put you down and say that's a bad idea, because there's a good chance that your idea is a good idea. When I started the magazine, people laughed at me and said, "Aye, good luck with that, pal." You know, somebody's told me that somebody's tried and failed before. You know, and you just kind of think, "Aye, thanks very much, thanks very much." But if you put in the hours and the dedication, there's, as I say, there's nothing you can't achieve. Just study, work at it, put in the effort before you kind of launch it. One of the mistakes that I made with the magazine is I probably launched it too quick. I finished up my job, and then 2 months later, I had a Mill magazine in my hand, and that probably just wasn't enough time. So maybe 4 to 6 months would have been a better idea. So if people are listening to this and they are currently working with an idea of launching their own business, just give yourself time to do it. Stay in that job, keep paying your bills and mortgage until you're ready to start the dream, and just make sure you've kind of, as everybody says, cross the T's and dot the I's, and you should be, as I say, you should be fine. But there's nothing. What I've realised is nothing can stop you.
I think that's solid advice. Trial and errors is
Yeah.
a big, massive thing, and I think, like, you know, what I mean, this to what I have now to what it was at the very start. You know, what I mean, I've looked at the things that may be wrong, or some things I could maybe work on and
Yeah.
fix and look at.
Yeah.
But I think your advice is absolutely solid. I think
Yeah.
unless you're willing to fail, you're always going to hold yourself back. And I
Yeah.
think like that, and something that I've had to take on as well, and try to promote myself more,
Yeah.
and trying to do this. This is why I want to bring on the owners of the businesses, or those that are, you know, what I mean, that maybe people aren't aware of what they do. And I think it's bringing a face to the business as well. And I think
Yeah.
you've totally hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and self belief, it's one of these things that I never used to have. I never thought I'd be running my own business. I never thought I was the kind of person that could run their own business. But everybody can run their own business. Another bit of advice would say, don't leave it too late. Because I started Mill magazine 5 years ago, and I could have done it before that. So if you've got a good idea, just make sure you're ready to go. And as I say, don't leave it too late. If you think you're not the kind of person that can run their own business, think again, because anyone can run their own business. It's not easy. It's very hard work. It's a lot easier working for somebody else. But the satisfaction that you get from running your own business, from me picking up my magazine and seeing people reading it, it's the best feeling ever. It is the best experience I've ever had, the best working experience I've ever had. And the people that I've met, the things that have come up through doing this. I mean, for instance, my inbox is full of, you get the usual spam, don't you?
Oh yeah.
And then occasionally, once on one occasion, I got an email in from the BBC to say, would you come and do a careers talk with us?
Wow.
We're going to Renfrew High School and Johnson High School. And you think, wow, how's that actually
You're actually being
happened?
recognised as,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of that
That's
light,
right.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So, and when I first started the magazine as well, I remember a teacher from Grave High School asking if I would come in and speak to their students about graphic design. And I thought, right, speaking in front of children or anybody, that is the last thing I want to do, because I'm not that kind of person. You know, I'm not that confident speaker. I'm not that person that can get up and be natural, because it's not something I've ever enjoyed. I've obviously got bad memories from my university days, doing presentations in front of my lecturers, and just hating it. You know, absolutely hating it. Sweaty palms. You know, it was just the worst feeling ever. So when I got the call from that teacher, I thought, in my head, I was saying, I don't want to do this, but I know I have to do this if I'm going to promote the business and make this a success and make me a success. And as it turned out, I went along and spoke to the kids and had a great time. You know,
that's nice.
it felt brilliant. It felt brilliant. So it is about getting out your comfort zone as well, because when you're a business owner, people are going to want to know about you and what you do.
Oh yeah, they want to find out about you and who you are and what you're all about. I think a saying I love saying is people buy from people.
That's right. Yeah,
And I
totally.
think unless you are you give off a horrible vibe, then I think that instantly. How many times you walked into a restaurant or something and you've seen the first person that greets you and you're not overly too keen and you're just like, do you know what? I'll just walk out. I'll just not tonight.
Yes. No, that's it. That's it. You're absolutely right, and that's one of the things about running your own business is everything you do is 100%. You know, you are the face of that business. You kind of worry, you know, if I'm not here, who is going to be the face of the business? Are they going to do that the same as me? I think a lot of business owners have that themselves. That's why the business owners put in so many hours, because nobody can run the business like they can. You know, for instance, you know, maybe a chef, for instance, you know, we've got a top chef. He has a night off. Is the next chef down? Is he going to do as good a job? For the people that have come up to that restaurant for the first time, you just don't know.
Don't know.
You just don't know. So I guess it is when you work for yourself. It's, as I say, it's the job satisfaction is very, very high. It's a lot of hard work, but you'll enjoy it. It's as I say, it's the best fun I've ever had.
Brilliant. I love that. That's brilliant. Just one last thing that kind of finishes
Sure.
off here. Do you have any future plans for the Mill magazine? Is there a way you see it going forward? Especially now that we're coming into a kind of, social media platform based, life.
That's right.
I still prefer having something physical to read. I love
Yes.
reading like books and things like that. But like that, do you have any plans for what's the next step for Mill magazine?
Well, we've just launched a new app, which is kind of a directory to Renfrewshire that has all our distribution points on it and a list of businesses in the area. So that's one thing we've launched. As for the magazine, I would like to think about launching another magazine in different areas. You know, whether it's East Renfrewshire or Inverclyde. Glasgow's possibly a wee bit big. I'd probably like to do the kind of smaller areas, as I said, like Inverclyde and East Renfrewshire, because the demand is there. The demand is there. The success of the magazine comes from the fact that we are in Renfrewshire and it's written by somebody from Renfrewshire.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'd have to do is get an editor in each of these areas. Somebody that's going to get their feet on the ground and can see what's going on around them, because that's where the success comes from. I mean, the magazine it's all about Renfrewshire, by people from Renfrewshire, featuring people from Renfrewshire. And that's where the success comes from. People want to read it because it's all about people on their doorstep. So expanding the magazine, yes, to different areas is something I am very keen to do.
Brilliant. Listen, I wish you every success, but I believe that you will do it.
Thank you.
And I think you've got the right mind frame about doing it as well. And I think you've got the right attitude when it comes to doing it as well. You have been an absolute gentleman. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on this.
Me. It's great.
Honestly, and I highly recommend anybody that is considering even inquiring about doing an advert with the Mill magazine, you 100% should. If you would want to stock the Mill magazine within your business, then again, 100% get in touch with Paul. He's a gentleman. I mean, come on, you've been an absolute pleasure to deal with. I'm so glad I had you on for the first episode. You've made me feel so much at ease. You've just such a nice conversation, and just make sure to follow Mill magazine on Facebook,
Instagram. We've got our website as well, so you'll find us if you type it in Google. It should come up straight away. We should be on the first page.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
And for those listening, if you are listening on Spotify, then please leave us a 5-star review. And if you're on our YouTube page, then please feel free to subscribe. Thanks very much, Paul.
Thank you.
Pleasure.